Welcome to Palace Insider, where royal glam meets real drama. A Duchess showing up at Fashion Week is supposed to bring chaos, cameras, and cheers. But at the Balenciaga front row, the loudest sound wasn't applause. It was whispers. And those whispers carried something heavy, something awkward that you could almost feel in the air.
Now let's have a look at Meghan Markle being weird and inauthentic.
From the outside, it looked like Meghan Markle's perfect comeback moment. Flashes popping, lights bouncing off her sleek black heels, pure headline material. But inside, the vibe was ice cold.
She's been mocked at Paris Fashion Week.
Stylists spilled that when Meghan walked in, the room froze. No smiles, no cheek kisses, no warmth, just quiet stares. One even whispered it felt like people were watching, not welcoming. It didn't feel like an icon moment. It felt tense. Even photographers looked bored, and editors who usually chase celebs for selfies suddenly kept their distance. One insider said the body language said it all. People looked cautious, calculating, careful about how close they stood. A strange sight in an industry built on being seen together. Meghan suddenly seemed untouchable, not because of gossip or drama, but something more awkward, something no one wanted to say out loud at first. Backstage whispers started flying that her presence was difficult. Not her attitude, her aura, or, to be blunt, her smell. Several people repeated it, and the rumor spread like wildfire.
That was awkward. Let's have another look at it.
One insider claimed it was cheap perfume layered over stress, while another said the glam team looked exhausted, spraying everything possible to cover it. Someone even joked, "You can't fix that." True or not, the gossip exploded before the night was over. By then, nobody cared about the runway looks. They were all talking about Meghan in Paris. In fashion, hygiene talk is social exile territory, and that crowd can be ruthless. And just when it couldn't get worse, insiders said her outfit didn't help either. The pieces weren't custom couture but borrowed samples, with tags still on. In fashion, that's a quiet signal. She wasn't fully part of the elite circle. Top celebrities usually get designer pieces handed to them. Brands crave their sparkle and influence. But insiders whispered that Meghan's vibe didn't make the cut this time, meaning every outfit had to be returned after the show. One stylist even murmured, "Balenciaga didn't crown her, they just tolerated her." And that line spread like wildfire. Meghan kept her chin high, flashing smiles like she owned Paris, but insiders swore the city wasn't buying it. Behind the scenes, they said her royal glam act didn't match the reality. Instead of glowing like a fashion queen, she looked like a stand-in. And in that world, that's one of the harshest rejections. The difference was brutal. Meghan showed up for a rebirth moment, but Paris gave her a cold reality check. And just when the whispers started to fade, another rumor took over, darker and way more emotional. People said that after the show, instead of slipping quietly into the night, Meghan's car drove through the Alma Tunnel, the same place Princess Diana lost her life. At first, people brushed it off as coincidence, but in Paris, nothing is ever coincidence.
I mean, yeah, the children were posed with teddy bears dressed in bondage-style gear.
What?
It was predatory. And Meghan Markle is accepting an award as Humanitarian of the Year on Thursday for protecting children online. She shouldn't be promoting a brand accused of predatory.
One fashion journalist even said, "In this city, everything means something." Meghan's team rushed to explain, claiming she had no idea where she was, that it was just the quickest route to her hotel. But for those who followed her story, that excuse felt hollow, almost too rehearsed. Former friends once said she studied Princess Diana's funeral repeatedly, like homework. Others remembered her reading royal biographies, pages marked up and memorized. So the big question hit hard. How could she not know? One commentator said, "This is a woman who understands her symbols." And that tunnel? It's the most powerful one of all. Online, things exploded fast. TikTok edits popped up within hours, showing Meghan's car gliding through the Alma Tunnel right beside footage of Diana's final moments, all synced to haunting music that made the comparison impossible to ignore. On Twitter, things blew up fast. Some called Meghan bold, while others called her manipulative.
How are you protecting children when you are promoting a brand that was accused of inappropriate behavior towards them?
One viral post said, "It's one thing to admire Diana. It's another to cosplay her tragedy." That line spread like wildfire, turning quiet skepticism into full-blown outrage. It was the kind of storm no PR team could contain. For Paris, the story hit deep. The city adored Diana. Her memory still feels sacred there. The Alma Tunnel isn't just a road. It's a symbol of grief and history. Local tabloids questioned Meghan's motives, while global outlets speculated carefully, suggesting maybe, just maybe, the drive wasn't so accidental. One paper wrote cautiously, "We're not accusing, but we can't ignore it either." And that uncertainty only fueled the fire. Behind the curtains, fashion insiders whispered about a bigger plan, wondering what Meghan was really aiming for. Why play with symbolism this heavy? Why keep tying herself to Diana's legacy? One editor reportedly said, "It's not branding, it's obsession." The Paris trip wasn't really about fashion. It was about rewriting the Diana story, one calculated moment at a time. But the irony hit hard. Instead of admiration, the comparison only reminded people of a gap Meghan could never bridge. Comment sections flooded as longtime Diana supporters got emotional fast. Some posts were brutally direct. Diana was loved. Meghan's pretending. Others turned their focus to Prince Harry, asking why he'd accept something that felt like a performance built around his mother's tragedy. One viral post read, "If Harry cries talking about that tunnel, how could she treat it like a photo op?" Thousands agreed within hours. By the end of Fashion Week, Meghan's Paris moment wasn't about couture at all. It was about a car ride, a tunnel, and the haunting shadow of a princess whose legacy still stirs emotions every time her name is whispered. Tension kept climbing, because this time it wasn't gossip or speculation. It was pure hypocrisy hiding in plain sight. For years, Meghan painted herself as the victim of brutal media attacks, saying the press twisted her story and chased her like they once did Diana. With Harry warning history was repeating itself, it sounded tragic, until Paris made people look closer. That's when an old, uncomfortable truth resurfaced. Everyone blames the British tabloids for exploiting Diana's final moments. But insiders reminded the world that the most haunting footage from her last hours wasn't sold by them at all. It was bought and broadcast by an American network, CBS. And yes, that's the same CBS that Harry and Meghan later picked for their explosive Oprah interview. Instantly, critics pounced on the contradiction. One analyst asked, "How do you condemn the press for exploiting tragedy, then hand your own story to the very network that profited from it?" That question spread like wildfire. Reports even hinted some of Harry's close friends warned him against it, saying working with CBS could reopen deep wounds. But Meghan pushed forward anyway. When Oprah's cameras started rolling, CBS, once the network that aired Diana's darkest moments, turned Harry and Meghan's pain into another global TV spectacle. For critics, it wasn't just irony. It looked like hypocrisy broadcast straight into millions of homes, written right into prime time. And online, people connected the dots instantly. Reddit threads started dropping receipts. CBS headlines from the 90s lined up next to clips from Meghan's Oprah interview. One viral comment said, "She blames tabloids for Diana's pain, but works with the company that aired her last breaths. How do you explain that?" That line exploded, pushing a new narrative that Meghan's victim story felt carefully crafted, not genuine. Industry insiders noticed the shift too.
Look, it's not being received well, certainly not as well as maybe she would have hoped, with some people labeling it a Zoolander war.
One Hollywood publicist told Variety, "Authenticity sells, hypocrisy kills." They claimed the CBS deal was the moment her credibility began to crumble. And when Paris whispers dragged Diana's name back into the spotlight, that trust took another hit. Suddenly, people weren't debating outfits or travel. They were questioning her integrity. To make things worse, more reports surfaced claiming her speeches and humanitarian projects were often ghostwritten, described as recycled ideas dressed up in new words. Staffers painted her as demanding but directionless, a leader without a clear vision, which only made the CBS controversy sting even harder. Once people started connecting the dots and added in all those Paris whispers, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Critics began describing Meghan as image-obsessed, focused on perception but careless with consistency. Paris didn't just reveal that tension, it amplified it for the world to see. Because in fashion, front row seats aren't just about fame. They're about credibility and cultural power. And insiders said the energy Meghan carried that week wasn't glamour. It was contradiction. In an industry built on image, that difference cuts deep. If the CBS partnership screamed hypocrisy, Paris delivered something even colder, rejection, the kind that stings in silence. By the third day of Fashion Week, the entire conversation had shifted. No one was talking about her outfit or the tunnel anymore. It was all about how the room seemed to freeze around her. Insiders even had a name for it, the cold shoulder. Designers who usually chase celebs for attention stayed away, creating painfully awkward pauses. One photographer whispered, "I've never seen a Duchess stand alone for so long in a lobby." The moment those photos hit the internet, they went viral instantly. Meghan Markle stood tall with cameras flashing from every angle, chin high, smile steady. But one thing everyone noticed? No major fashion heavyweights beside her. And in that world, who stands next to you says everything about your status. Fans pounced fast, posting brutal side-by-side comparisons. Meghan in borrowed Balenciaga pieces versus Rihanna draped in couture. Zendaya hugged by Valentino, and Kim Kardashian surrounded by Balenciaga's creative team. The captions cut deep. One read, "One of these women was invited, the other borrowed the invite." Memes exploded under hashtags like #EmptyChairEnergy and #BorrowedCouture. Paris, the city of light, had turned Meghan into the internet's shadow. Fashion insiders didn't hold back either. Blogs that usually keep it classy dropped quiet but savage lines. One French editor wrote, "Paris does not reward pretense. Clothes must fit the spirit, not just the body." Another insider added that her outfit looked assembled, not bestowed. A subtle but deadly way of saying she wasn't personally chosen by the brand. In fashion talk, that's not just shade. It's a dagger. Because in that circle, being seen as desperate is far worse than being invisible. The Diana Tunnel whispers made everything sting even more, layering emotional tension on top of the fashion world rejection. Fans began resurfacing old clips of Prince Harry speaking about trauma, edited right beside Meghan posing in Paris. One viral TikTok read, "He cries, she poses," and it racked up millions of views in hours. The shift in public perception was brutal and fast. Commentators went deeper, saying Paris didn't just reject Meghan's outfit, it rejected what she stood for. One culture critic wrote, "Diana was authenticity in motion. Meghan is simulation in still frame. Paris saw the difference." That line hit hard because it made the story about more than fashion. It became about identity and credibility. Whispers spread beyond the runways, too. Some claimed other celebrities were quietly told to steer clear. One stylist even overheard a PR manager whisper, "Being seen too close is a risk right now." And in a world powered by alliances, that kind of quiet distance is career poison. The irony online cut deep, because even supporters who once defended Meghan against the monarchy started wavering. One viral post summed it up. "Maybe the firm saw something we didn't." Tens of thousands liked it. Proof that sympathy was slipping fast, replaced by growing skepticism. That emotional shift marked a major turning point. Meghan wasn't just losing Paris, she was losing momentum. By the end of Fashion Week, the biggest moment wasn't on the runway. It was the realization that her once untouchable image was cracking right in front of everyone. And when Paris strips away glamour, the world notices. This city decides who matters in culture, and this time, it seemed to decide Meghan didn't. What followed felt even colder. After the lights faded and photographers packed up, she was left with something she never expected: silence. No cheers, no backlash, just quiet rejection. And in fashion, silence can be fatal. Reports claimed her team scrambled to lock in new brand meetings, but doors that once opened easily suddenly stayed shut. One insider told Page 6, "Nobody wants to be the one to take that risk, not after Paris." That single line summed up the whole vibe: cautious, distant, and icy. This wasn't just about one outfit or a drive through a tunnel. It was about credibility. And in the fashion world, credibility is currency. Insiders said Meghan's Paris trip didn't boost her status. It drained it, leaving her image looking more fragile than ever. Fans caught the shift instantly. Comment sections that once overflowed with heart emojis turned cutting and sarcastic overnight. One viral post showed Meghan in borrowed couture with the caption, "Returned by Monday." And from there, the meme wave exploded. On TikTok, #ParisExposed trended for 3 straight days. Proof of how fast admiration can flip into ridicule when someone's image starts to crack. It was a brutal pivot. Attention was still there, but the energy had flipped completely. "She came for validation and left with humiliation," one fan wrote. And that single comment summed up the new mood spreading across every platform. Even in Hollywood circles, whispers started swirling. Commentators warned that if major fashion houses were backing away, studios might follow. One media analyst told The Wrap, "If you can't command loyalty in fashion, you risk looking like a liability in film and TV." That line hit hard because it hinted the fallout wasn't stopping in Paris. And the warning proved real. Reports surfaced that Spotify had cooled off, Netflix was scaling back expectations, and no big new global deals were on the horizon. Suddenly, Paris wasn't just a bad fashion moment. It looked like a red flag to the entire entertainment world. Culturally, Paris holds weight. It crowns icons but also exposes pretenders. Think Diana at the Ritz, Rihanna with Dior, Audrey Hepburn along the Seine. But when Paris decides someone's trying too hard, the city doesn't whisper, it shouts. One French columnist didn't hold back, writing, "Paris forgives scandal, but it never forgives imitation." That single line summed up the entire week perfectly. Instead of reinventing herself, critics said Meghan only reminded people of what she wasn't, and that contrast became the real headline. For Prince Harry, the fallout seemed personal. Photos surfaced days later showing him subdued back in California, and online speculation ran wild. People questioned if he understood the symbolism of that tunnel drive, or if he was once again left defending controversy he never asked for. Either way, the cracks in their public image were suddenly visible to everyone. The irony hit hard. Meghan came to Paris chasing a glamorous reset, but left with whispers, memes, and heavy silence. The city gave her attention, just not the kind she wanted. And when Paris changes its mood, the world always pays attention. Because if one borrowed outfit and one controversial drive could shift Meghan Markle's entire narrative, people can't help but wonder what happens next when Hollywood shines its light back on her again. If you've been following this story, drop your thoughts below. What do you think comes next for Meghan and Harry? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more royal deep dives. See you in the next one.